If there's one struggle that I really believe the unfaithful and the betrayed come across, probably in at least 70% of all cases of infidelity, if you will, is that the betrayed wonders why the unfaithful will not talk about the details of the affair. Or the unfaithful will simply shut down, refuse to talk about it, and kind of shut out the betrayed from that corner of the unfaithful's life. Somewhere between maybe 5 and 20 times a week, the betrayed spouse will come to me and say, why does my spouse shut down? Why do they refuse to talk about the details of the affair? And so today, I want to do something a little bit different. Is I want to talk to you, the unfaithful, and I want to help you understand what it is costing you to not talk about the details of your affair. Without the right help, typically the unfaithful says, I don't want to talk about the details of the affair. Why do we need to talk about it? There's no reason to hash through it. There's no reason to uncover all of this information. And we talk about that approach quite often, but today I really just want to appeal to you, the unfaithful, and I want to help you see what it's costing you to not talk about the affair. Because I was there too. I didn't want to talk about it. I thought every time she broached the subject, my eyes would roll, my heart rate would spike. I would immediately say, oh, here we go again. And I know that to you, the betrayed, that's offensive. But today, I want to appeal to you, the unfaithful, and help you understand that sure, you can choose to not talk about the affair. Yes, you can choose to not talk about the details of the affair and maybe not kind of get into that discussion, but I want to kind of appeal to you to help you understand what it's costing you to not talk about the affair. Number one, it's costing you healing. I mean, the truth is, if we can't talk about it, we're not healed, and if we can't talk about it and won't talk about it, we're not going to be able to be healed. The reality is this: if you shut out your betrayed spouse, you are shutting them out from the opportunity to connect with you and to ultimately bring healing to the situation. Number two, and this is specific to this situation obviously, it's keeping you stuck. Oftentimes, more times than you would believe, I talk to a betrayed spouse and an unfaithful spouse in one situation, and they will say, we're just stuck. You know, it's only been a month or two. He won't talk about the affair, and then, or she won't discuss her affair, and I can't get into her email accounts or any of that social media stuff. They're hiding me, or they're hiding that world from me, and it's killing me. And to you, the unfaithful, I know that it's tough, and I know that it's like, why do they need to know this information? And I've talked about that before, but today I just want to tell you that it's costing you the ability to get unstuck. For those of you that are in this paradigm, this difficult situation, as long as you refuse to talk about the affair and the details of the affair, you're going to remain stuck because the betrayed is trying to put together the pieces of the affair in the dark and they can't do it. I know your reaction is, well, they want to get the information so they could use it against me. I'll cover that. Today I just want to talk about, unless you can share details of the affair or have discussions just about the affair or the addiction without shutting down, it's going to keep you stuck in the moment that you so desperately hate, which is this feeling of being paralyzed in pain and hurt and miscommunication and disconnection. Number three, refusing to talk about the affair keeps you from oneness. And if there was ever a time that you too needed to be able to get back to being one, it would be now. And I know that you think, wait a minute, talking about the affair, talking about my private hidden life that's ripped the heart out of my betrayed spouse is going to bring oneness? Absolutely. Because you, the unfaithful, are letting them into your world. You are sharing the innermost private parts of your life, your mistakes, your embarrassments, your terrible choices, and you are willingly deciding to discuss it with them, and it brings the betrayed into your life and says, okay, this hurts like hell. I hate this. This disgusts me. But I need to at least have a general understanding of what's happened and a general understanding of what was going on in your heart and mind. Now, before you go too far into that concept, is the reality that if you, the betrayed, are constantly asking them, why did you do it? Why did you do it? I just want to stop you and tell you they don't know. And whatever they're telling you may have probably, 20 to 30% of truth in it, but until they get to an expert and go through a process of recovery, they're not going to know. So you constantly asking them why, and I know, I'm sorry, but I do know that that is a very common question that the betrayed kind of latches onto. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? They don't know. And they won't know until they get expert help and go through somewhere between 6 months and 2 years. It'll take that long for the clouds to part, for the dust to settle, and for them to finally come to an awareness of what led them to cheat. And then those reasons will evolve continually over the next 3 to 10 years. It will get richer and better in their heart, and they will see it differently the further that they get from disclosure. Another thing that not wanting to talk about the affair is actually costing you, the unfaithful, is exactly what you want, which is to move past this, to get to the other side, to stop having to talk about it. It's actually costing you that because you're refusing to do it, when if you will humble yourself, and if you both will set up some boundaries and parameters, and if you will boldly yet graciously decide to talk about the affair with your betrayed spouse, it actually will help you get unstuck. It will actually give you the intimacy and the oneness that you're looking for. It'll help you stop having to talk about it every night. It's like I tell people all the time, listen, if you're tired of talking about it, come to the EMS weekend, spend 3 days, close to 30 hours with experts, and actually be willing to talk about it graciously and vulnerably in a safe place. Because if you do that, it's going to be very likely that you're not going to have to keep talking about the affair, but you can start to talk about unresolved issues and hurt and pains and rejection and how to reconnect mentally, emotionally, and sexually. All the things that go into moving forward can be talked about, but until you're willing to open up and trust the process of having discussions about the infidelity, you are going to actually remain stuck. It's very counterintuitive. If you want to get past it, be willing to talk about it now. Finally, for me, I really was intent on developing new respect, a new image in Samantha's eyes. I wanted newfound love. I had heard from my mentor and from Rick, it can get better, it will get better. This will actually make your marriage so much better because now you're really vulnerable and you're really understanding each other at ground zero. And I was like, man, that's great. And I really wanted new love. I really wanted to have a resurrection to our marriage and our family. And so you, the unfaithful, by not talking about the affair, it's costing you the opportunity for your spouse or partner to actually fall back in love with you, to actually have new respect for you, to actually have a new sense of admiration that you would stand your ground and disclose information and be bold and gracious, obviously, with boldness, but to be able to humble yourself and talk about the affair. If you can do it right, that actually will help bring your betrayed spouse to you with connection and with admiration that, yes, you made one of the biggest and worst mistakes of your entire life, but you were willing to own it and accept it and take the heat. By not talking about the affair, you're keeping your betrayed spouse stuck and you're keeping yourself stuck. Sure, you can choose to lock them out, but by keeping them out of this situation, it's costing you. It's keeping you stuck.